Quiet quitting. It's a term we're hearing a lot of. Time management specialist and personal concierge Tarra Stubbins tells us how it is changing the workplace. And we should stipulate, first of all, quiet quitting is not quitting your job.
It is not. And there's a great debate about whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. And I think to better understand kind of what side of the debate you sit on, you need to understand what it really means. And it is about working only the hours that you are designated to work in your job and to only do what is set out in your job description.
You were going to say the bare minimum.
I was going to say the bare minimum.
But we can't do that.
No, we cannot. So if you work 9 to 5, you are only working 9 to 5. You're not pre-planning. You're not staying late. You're not helping with, extracurricular office activities.
You're not checking your work email.
You're not checking your work email.
That's going to be hard for a lot of people, especially coming out of this work from home phase.
It really is. And I think we're hearing a lot more about it now because of kind of the burnout that's happening because of the pandemic. And, people are saying it's a work to rule. It's a answer to kind of this burnout culture that has been created in the workplace. But people are also saying that it might be all because of bad bosses and not necessarily bad employees. So we have to kind of look at like the culture that we've built. And, is the culture really, you have to go above and beyond to succeed? Why can't we just do our job and do our job well and still succeed? And I think that's the debate that's going on out there.
Okay, so what are some of the signs for employers to look out for then?
Yeah, so employers should look out for people who are, not communicating well, who are kind of sitting back and like not being present as much as possible, people who are taking a lot of time off. And then if you are thinking about quiet quitting, you should really consider things like, are you motivated or not? Do you have an alternative to go to? Talking about quiet quitting, it is kind of a privilege we have to see because, people are finding a job is tough out there, and people are kind of sometimes stuck in, what they have and working paycheck to paycheck. So, do you have that privilege to be able to say no to your employer? And that's kind of the question that goes back to, is it the employers or the employees?
Right, and in your time as a time management coach, you maybe see ways that we could work better within the hours that we do work.
Yeah, it's true. And again, it goes back to this whole idea of work-life balance, really. I think quiet quitting is kind of a revolution towards that better work-life balance. And I always say that time management is about filling your days with meaningful moments so that you can create the life that you want to live. And I understand that that's a privileged statement as well, because it is hard for everyone to have those moments every day where they can, create those perfect days. But it is about asking yourself, like, are you burnt out? Do you enjoy what you're doing? Are there work and growth opportunities in your job? And, maybe it's a time to go and start your own business or start a side hustle, or, I think that's why we're seeing a lot of these opportunities out there growing as well.
Do you think part of it could be if you have been working from home all this time and now you have to, your employer's telling you, you have to be in the office, even if it doesn't work out that well? Do you think that's where some of the pushback comes from? Because you think about if you've got a long commute, all that time that's wasted in the day now.
Such a long time wasted. It's actually interesting. So there's quiet quitting that's happening, and there's also kind of the opposite, which is happening right now, which is people taking on multiple jobs at once because they could at home. No one was watching them. So I think people are also pushing back because they can't do that anymore if they're in office. So it's kind of like the scales, different side of the scales. But it's also interesting to hear who quiet quitting affects the most, what demographic. And that's mostly women. And it's because women in the workplace are the ones who normally take on the extra jobs, the party planning, the taking on, the difficult clients, the gifting. And, men have the ability to say no, and women Not so much still. I know
Okay.
there's a change in pace, but they're still kind of forced to say yes.
All right, you've got so much great knowledge on your website,
Yep.
and we'll hook up our viewers with that at chch.com. Tara, thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you.
And not quite quitting us.
No, never.